This is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He was a very important person. He was a civil rights activist more than 50 years ago. That means that he believed that every Black and African American person should have the same freedoms and rights as all people in America. He worked very hard to make that happen, but unfortunately he died. So we celebrate his life and honor his memory every January. Today we're going to honor his memory and draw a portrait of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Start with a U shape, then draw his ear. I drew a curved line for his ear. I only see one ear on this photograph, so I'm only drawing the ear on one side of his face. After you draw the ear, and at the bottom of the ear, you can draw a curved line for his shoulder, curving downward, then curving out to the edge of the page. You can draw his other shoulder off of his cheek, and then curving toward the edge of the page, then curving down to the bottom of the page. Draw a V shape for his suit jacket. I drew the pointy part of the V at the bottom of the page, and then the two lines of the V go up to either side of his head. Next, I'm drawing the two lines for the white part of his shirt, the collar of his shirt, and then I drew a line for his tie. And then the two lines coming off of the knot of his tie are the long part of his tie. It's okay if you make a mistake on his tie because we're going to color it in black. Next, I'm drawing a triangle shape for the lapel of his jacket. So I'm creating kind of a flap on either side of his suit jacket. I'm moving on to draw his face and his hair. So I'm creating the curve of his head at the top, and then I'm adding another smaller curved line over that for his hair. In the middle of his face, and a little bit lower, I'm creating a wide V for the middle of his nose, and then at the ends of that line, I'm curving it back in for the nostrils and then coloring it in. I'm creating the outer part of his nostril by creating like a C shape or a curved line going up from the colored in part of his nostril. And then on the side that's away from the ear, I created the outline of his nose, and I created a curved line in the middle of his nose to help us see the shape of his nose. Underneath his nose, I'm creating a smile, and then I'm adding his lips. So two bumpy lines for his top lip, and then one curved line for his bottom lip. The bottom lip is bigger than the top lip, so I made it a lot bigger to show what it looks like on the photograph. Dr. Martin Luther King had a very nice mustache, so add a zigzag line. You can color in his mustache above his lip. Just make sure that you create the mustache wider than his mouth. So make that mustache go on either side of his lips. Next, I'm adding his eyebrows. I made two curved lines that look like a banana shape for his eyebrows. And I'm adding a football shape for his eye. So two banana shapes and then two football shapes, and then add the pupil and iris of his eyes. So those are the circles you see in his eyes. You can use a marker or crayon or colored pencil to color in his eyebrows and his hair. The last step is to add color. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. usually wore a black suit and a white shirt. So you'll need black. You'll also need brown to color in his skin. You can use whatever colors you want to for the background. I added an American flag design, so I'm using red and blue for the background. Dr. King gave a lot of famous speeches when he was fighting for civil rights. In one of his most famous speeches, he said, "I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." He was saying that he hopes one day people in America will not be racist and will not judge others for the color of their skin, but instead everybody will live in a fair society and people will only be judged by the things that they do and the things that they say and if they are a good person. A lot of people really love his I Have a Dream speech, and you might hear I have a dream a lot when people are talking about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and when people are talking about civil rights. So what do you have a dream for the future about? What do you want to happen in the future? What is your dream?